Hi guys, and welcome to Sweden. It's a cold one today, around -9 degrees Celsius. We had some light snow showers overnight, and as I speak it's still snowing a little bit. I think we haven't seen any positive temperatures in the last, I don't know, 2 weeks, maybe a little bit more than that. And we don't have a lot of sunshine as well. Today is another grey day, so I came to another nature reserve called Stuverydsbäcken. I hope I'm pronouncing that quite right. This nature reserve is centered around a small creek, so I was hoping to photograph some ice. But as it turns out, the creek is covered in snow at the moment. There are little pockets of flowing water here and there, but nothing worth shooting for now. So I'm gonna continue following the creek and hopefully see some more ice formations to capture a little bit further down the trail. And I just spotted this pocket of flowing water right here. So that's what I was photographing right now. Well, trying some compositions, in fact. And I think I've got something interesting. So let me just get my tripod out and probably my wide angle lens as well. So I framed up my composition here, and as you can see, I'm centered on this flowing water that is in the foreground. And I'm also trying to include some icicles that are flowing down the cliffside here. Let me tilt that camera up so you can see them right here. And yeah, that's basically the whole composition. One thing is I'm trying not to include too much sky in the frame, the least amount of sky that I can, in fact, because at the moment the sky is pretty much washed out white. Did I say that this is a trail? It's actually more of a scramble, in fact. As you can see, I'm going from boulder to boulder, crawling under some fallen trees. There might be a shot here. I don't know if you can see it, but in that pocket of water there is some kind of seaweeds, I don't know, which are growing in that stream, and a lot of fallen trees all around. Okay, so for this shot I'm gonna have to use a polarizer in order to cut down the reflection of the sky into the water, which is the only way to get those seaweeds visible in the frame. I will try to show you what it's doing on the back of the camera when it's in place. At this point, my polarizer is with its full effect, so the reflection on the water is minimal. And let me turn that polarizer to show you. Focus on the water. See, here the water is much less polarized, and we see all the reflection of the sky on the water. And as a result, we don't see the seaweeds as much. So that's why I'm polarizing this picture. And let me get back to the fully polarized position here. And as you can see, there is much less reflection of the sky in the water. Okay, so now I've come to the really scrambly part of this trail, which is to get up that gorge here. But I will try to put some drone footage to show what it's like. Okay, so I've tried to frame up the same composition that I had when I was hand-holding the camera. So my composition is another vertical composition and fairly straightforward. The main subject is obviously the small frozen cascade here at the bottom right of the image. With also on top of it, I'm including the small mossy, snowy ledge that is above the cascade, as well as the corner of the cliff. Regarding the exposure, it's a little bit tricky because the dynamic range in the frame, which is the difference between the highest luminosity point and the lowest luminosity point is very, very big because there is some snow in the foreground, which is obviously white basically, and some very deep shadows in that small crevasse here. So I'm trying to expose as far to the right as I can, which means I'm trying to get the snow as close to overexposing as I can without actually overexposing it. And now I think I'm gonna get closer to the cascade and focus more on the details of the cascade itself. I have now set up a close-up shot using my macro lens here. I'm focusing on one of the icicles that is growing on that frozen cascade. At this point, I'm not quite sure about the shutter speed that I want to use for that shot, because the shutter speed will impact how the water droplets are rendered in the final picture. If I'm using a very fast shutter speed, the water droplet will be frozen in place. And if I'm using a slower shutter speed, then I might have some very little water movement effect. So I'm gonna try both and I will see which one I prefer in the end. Each time I go past that tree, I think that there's a shot here, but I haven't been able to find it just yet. And I don't think it's for today, actually. Or in fact, maybe there is a shot, but it's not your obvious shot of the tree itself. I'm noticing here on the side of the tree the snow plus the texture of this dead tree makes for something worth at least exploring. So I set up a composition here with my wide angle macro, so it's a different lens than the one that I was using before. It was really difficult to set up this shot. Actually, I had to use basically all of the flexibility of my tripod here. One issue also is that when trying to adjust my tripod to get into position, the front of the lens, which is really close to the subject I'm photographing right now, actually touched the snow, which moved composition a little bit. So yeah, we'll see how this one turns out. As you can see, I've now moved my tripod just a few centimeters, in fact, because I've noticed another composition right here, and I don't know if you can see it on the back of the camera here, but it's basically just some moss. It would seem that it's growing out of the snow here, So it's a multi-layered shot. In fact, there's the snow, there's the moss, and there's some nice texture on the tree itself. So that makes for a fairly complex composition. I've tried to move the tripod just a little bit, from left to right, front to back, just a little bit, to try to balance the different elements of this frame. So I think it's quite a strong shot. I like it a lot. I tried pushing a little bit further down the trail to see if there is any more moving water that I could photograph, but there's too much snow and the water is buried underneath the snow. So that will be it for today, and see you guys next time, and have a good one.